Welcome to part 11 of my Tevo Black Widow mods videos. In this video I'm going to finally show you the finalized, at least mostly finalized design for the control box, so let's take a look at it. So first of all, I have a door here. I'm going to get to the details of this in a sec, so I'm just going to disable it for now. But as you can see, this is overall a bit smaller than what I showed before. And this is to allow me to print this in one go on my heat bed, so that I don't have to separate these larger parts into two parts. So as you can see, the bottom and the top are separate, but they're not separated in the middle, so it just reduces that. Also, it allows me to have less interconnects for more rigidity so that the control box stays in one piece for a longer period of time. I ran out of breath there, sorry. Anyway, so as you can see, I have these two plates, and on these I'm going to mount the electronics, so the MKS board and the Raspberry Pi, etc. You may notice that there are no mounting holes for any of the electronics here, but there are 4 mounting holes on the corners and 1 on the center, and that's basically because I will mount the electronics to a aluminium plate and then mount the aluminium plate using these 5 screws to these plates. That will allow me to have the boards share a common ground, which is better for the protection of the electronics. So other than that, as you can see, I still have 2 fans on this side and 1 fan on this side. I just edited the layout for this side a bit. As you can see, this side is pretty much the same. Also, I still have the fan grill for the power supply here. So other than that, I did the back panel for the connectors that I ordered, the aviation connectors. This panel still isn't finalized yet, as I didn't receive the connectors yet, so the design may change, but I'm pretty confident that this will work. I'll measure the connectors when I receive it. So as you can see, I have a whole bunch of connectors for the aviation connectors. I'm not going to use all of these since I don't really need them, but that's the reason I have this many, is for future-proofing the design. And as you can see, there's one larger one here. That's for the hot end heater, so that's going to go there. That's a 16mm connector. The rest of them are 12mm. Also, I didn't have enough connector to put here, so I just put a logo here. And this panel is just for looks. This doesn't really have any function. As for the way that this thing all attaches, so this is the disable top layer. As you can see, there's this panel that these panels attach to, and then I have screws going through them, and I also have a similar thing on the top. I can't show it because I disabled it right now, but yeah, it's there. The way that the back panel attaches is through 2 screws to the bottom and two screws to the top layer, sorry. Also, I have this panel, which if I disable these, you can see the bottom layer. So I'm going to have the power supply here, as I mentioned before. I have the screw holes prepared for that. I found the dimensions online. I have this relatively large area. This is mainly for cable management. It's also to allow some room for these connectors in the back and these 2 switches on the front. So yeah, this is the design for now, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be my final design. I'm not going to alter anything. So I'm going to start printing these today, at least some of it. Obviously, you can probably guess by the size of this thing that I'm not going to be able to print this in a week or 2, so it will be spread across multiple videos. But yeah, the work printing is finally begun, and I hopefully receive the connectors pretty soon so I can start working on it. Oh, I forgot to talk about the door. So the door attaches using this 45-degree angle to hold it in place on this side, and on this side you may notice that there are two holes, but as you can see if I zoom in, these aren't for screws. I'm going to have two magnets, so one here and one here, and I'm going to have magnets here, and it's a hard angle, but hopefully you can see it here on the top layer. So basically the door will be magnetic, so it will be very easy to remove, and in the future I may make a hole in here to add a window, because I think the inside of this box will look pretty cool as well. So yeah, as you can see here, this took quite a bit of testing, and yeah, let's begin on printing at least some of the parts. These are the parts that I managed to print in this week. As you can see, I have the two electronic mounts and the bottom plate that they attach to, and I also printed the back panel highlight. This is what I call it, the panel that sits behind the connector panel just for looks. And now I also want to print the connector panel. Even though I haven't received the connectors yet, I'm confident enough in my design, so I'm willing to take that risk to save some time. So let's print that. I want to print that out of carbon fiber, which is my carbon fiber is a PETG style carbon fiber. So before I waste any carbon fiber material, I wanted to test PETG materials on my 3D printer. So let's take a close look at some PETG prints that I made from my 3D printer and see how they look. So I'm not going to spend as much time as I spent on these previously, so that's just to make the video a bit shorter. But as you can see, the print quality looks very good. It's probably because of the material, but the prints are a bit more shiny, and overall it looks pretty much the same as I got the print quality that I have with PLA. The only difference that I see is on the bottom surface. There are more than usual defects on the bottom side, but other than that, they look pretty much as good as PLA. So I'm now confident in my printing, so let's start printing the back panel in carbon fiber. So as you can see, the end result is pretty horrible. I actually tried printing with this material, this particular part, about 4 or 5 something like that times, all of which ended with the same result. This isn't the best print that I did, but it's pretty much the same. And yeah, unfortunately there's something wrong with this filament. I think it's not something to do with my printer, because it managed to print regular PETG fine, also prints everything else fine as well, so it's probably to do with something with this filament. There is a possibility that the filament is too humid and it's not dry enough for the printer to print properly, but I don't have any other carbon fiber filament, so yeah, I don't think I'm going to print it out of carbon fiber anymore. I think I'll just print it out of PLA. But yeah, after this I decided to move on to something else, and that is the screen. So if you remember from the last video, I said that I ordered a touchscreen for the control box that I'm working on, And if you've seen the finalized design at the beginning of this video, you'll see that there is no mount for the screen. Well, I decided to not include it in the control box, mainly because the control box is in a bit of inconvenient location to reach easily and, you know, order printer to do things. So I decided to make an external enclosure for it and have a separate Raspberry Pi run it, and just use OctoPrint to control the 3D printer. So yeah, now I'm just going to print the enclosure for that and then assemble it, and then we'll take a look at the touch UI. So as you can see, I'm now done with assembling the control panel, and I also installed Touch UI on my OctoPrint installation. And let's just take a quick tour of it. So the screen that you just saw before was the main control screen. Here in this screen we can see the temperatures, and here you can control the 3D printer's movement, and here we will normally see the camera feed. Right now the lights are turned off, that's why you can't see it, but it is there. I can pick the difference up, but it's not shown in camera. And here you can, you know, send console commands using the on-screen keyboard. We can also reach anything that we need through this menu. So the toggle PSU button is down there, for example, or we can reach the settings here. We can edit the connection settings through this screen. So if I turn on the printer and then just say connect here, it will connect just like it does on regular OctoPrint. So yeah, I think this will be a pretty useful control panel. It means that I don't have to have a laptop on my workshop anymore, since the main reason that I had that laptop was to control the OctoPrint. So yeah, I think this is pretty useful, and I'll share the file that I used on Thingiverse in the link as a link in the description below. So one last thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is, if you remember from the last video, I finished these spool holders. Well, I had to change one of the parts here. I had to close the loops of where the PTFE tube routes. So they were getting out of those non-closed loops. So I just designed a part and put it there. So if you follow the last video as an example, then keep that in mind. And if you want to, I will share those STL files as well on Thingiverse or something like that. Also, let me know if you're interested in a tutorial video for that as well, since I think the end result turned out to be pretty cool, and yeah, maybe some of you are interested in that, so let me know in the comments below. So otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave me a like below, and thanks for watching.